There's your formula for winning a lot of games. Huge one from Jimmy Butler, have a Steph Curry night, and then Moses Moody and Brandin Podziemski combined for 40 points. If all those things happen in a game, you're going to cruise past the competition regardless. Even if it's the New York Knicks, the NBA Cup champions, missing Jalen Brunson, but the Warriors do not skip a beat. 4-1 on this homestand. Let's break it down.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are we feeling, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now the #1 sports podcast network out there. Thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network out there. You can check out this show and all our shows on the Locked On Podcast Network on YouTube and wherever you get your audio podcasts. I'm hanging out with you Monday through Friday. I'll be with you Saturdays and Sunday as long as the Warriors are playing games. We go live on YouTube. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and that subscribe for Warriors content around the clock. I'm Charlie Walter, by the way. Matt Kolsky joins the program today to break down a Warriors win. Final score, Warriors cruise to a comfortable 126-113 win. 32 for Jimmy Butler, 27 for Steph Curry, 21 for Moses Moody, and 19 for Brandin Podziemski, the 4 Warriors in double figures. That's how it was supposed to look. I mean, at one point in the season, we thought you add Jonathan Kuminga in there, and those are your 5 top scorers. But tonight is how it's supposed to look. You can add DeAnthony Melton into that fold, but Moses Moody and Brandin Podziemski playing good in the same game has been such a rarity this season. It happened maybe Phoenix or Memphis early on in the year where it was like, okay, they can play well in the same game. And then when you get a good Jimmy Butler game and you get a good Steph Curry game, this team looks good. Now, the competition today, it was New York without Jalen Brunson. It was New York on the second half of a back-to-back, and it's a New York Knicks team that is currently sputtering. Take away what you want from it, but take away this. Warriors are 10-4 in their last 14, Kolsky.
Yeah, I mean, that is the biggest takeaway. Got to win basketball games, and we talked about this stretch being important. And so far, so good. I mean, you beat a Portland team that you've struggled with all year. You beat a Knicks team that, yes, is missing their best player, but is still pretty. I mean, OG Anunoby tonight. Oh, my gosh. He was awesome, but they took care of it. They handled business on the home floor, and it wasn't, once again, a non-clutch game, right? So, you know, someone in the chat just said a win is a win, and that's true, but also a win where you don't have to stress it down the stretch is nice. And you got that against Portland too. I mean, I think there's a lot to improve. There's the obvious, as George Costanza would say, there's a big matzo ball hanging out there that we don't even need to get into right now, but that some resolution I expect is coming in the next couple weeks. And like you said, we know this team can be really good if they get Moses Moody and Brandin Podziemski and DeAnthony Melton all playing together and well at once. The question is, how often can you count on that? And so far, like you said, it hasn't been very often, and that's why we all feel the absence of, I don't know, a player worth in the neighborhood of $25 million.
Yeah, the way that I've been...
Whoever that player ends up being, to be clear. I'm not talking about the guy they have now. I'm just saying, like, that's what's missing is $25 million worth of NBA player would sure make this team look a lot more consistent, I think.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, you see the potential from Moses Moody in a game like tonight when he just is trigger happy, right? Every chance he had tonight, as soon as he touched it, his eyes were locked in on the rim and he wanted it. And he took how many threes? Ended up taking 9 threes, hit 7 of them, hit a lot of them in like a 5-minute stretch, it felt like, where the Warriors really just kind of pulled away. Curry set a really nice screen for him that Stan Van Gundy was breaking down. I mean, third quarter Curry was excellent Curry. At the beginning of the game, it was Steph kind of taking it to the rim. It was Steph showing off his handles and his finishing ability in traffic. Third quarter, he starts knocking down threes. They took one away from him too because Quentin Post hit Miles McBride with a moving screen, but Curry was great. I think player of the game, though, it's got to be Jimmy Butler. 14 of 22. He had 8 rebounds. He had 4 assists. But most importantly, he turned up the defensive intensity in a time where it felt like New York was just kind of getting whatever they wanted to bridge the first and second quarter.
Yeah, and maybe just as importantly, 0 turnovers on a night where he had the ball in his hands an awful lot. And once again, in those moments tonight where it felt like, hold on, the Warriors are starting to lose the thread. It's getting a little wild out there. It was Jimmy Butler that took the ball and said, let's slow things down. I'll handle this. And either got right to the rim past one of the pathetic Knicks defenders, or in one beautiful case, posted up Karl Anthony Towns and hit a little turnaround fadeaway on him. Jimmy enjoyed that, and I did as well. So
it was a weight room game for Jimmy today. I mean, he looked so strong out there.
And for Draymond. The stats won't say anything interesting about Draymond tonight, but he battled out there, and that's why he's here. I mean, Cat is 6 for 14, and yeah, he got 20 rebounds. But God, he missed a lot of putbacks with those 20 rebounds. And Draymond was just on his, can I say that? Draymond was on his ass all night, and he made it uncomfortable for him. And that's why Draymond is he can do that to most of the best players in the league. Not that Cat is necessarily a best player in the league, but arguably the best player available for New York tonight. And Draymond just kicked his butt all over the court. So look, everything was working. And this is still a team when everything's working that can hang with anybody, really. So hopefully you can keep that rolling for this little stretch, stay hot, as it were, for a week while you sort out your trade drama. And I am very excited at this point to find out what the Warriors team is going to look like in the second half of the season, right? I mean, we are at 42, so I guess we just passed the halfway mark. But if you can get 35 games with whatever you want your team to be, whatever trade happens, whatever move you make, 35 games with that final group, I think they can still put themselves in a good position, which is to say a real playoff spot.
I have a weird feeling that they're not balking when they're saying all these things about we may just keep JK and figure it out in the summer. I have a weird feeling about that, Kolsky.
Yeah, I hear you, but I just think it's what you have to say.
Friedel was basically saying that he's not a nuisance by any means, that the players kind of like him and he kind of likes the players. He's just on vacation, man. He's like me at work, you just kind of show up. You're there for a good time.
It's just that.
But you got to use that roster slot.
For
that
something, is too
right?
stupid. I'm sorry. That's just too stupid. If that is where we land, then everything anyone has ever said hating on the Warriors front office and ownership and even Steve Kerr, it's all true. I've never really bought into the wasting Steph Curry narrative. I've never really bought into the Joe Lacob's ego is ruining this thing. And I never really thought that stuff is real. But if they keep Kuminga again, what is it, 14 straight now? He's gotten DNP coach's decision. And in the worst of those games, they have needed scoring so badly. It's the one thing we know he can do. And to not go to him under those circumstances, you're not going to be able to play him again. That would mean you are literally choosing nothing. Over $25 million worth of NBA player, you choose nothing. And if that's what they do, I have no respect for that whatsoever.
What's that line from Caddyshack, Kolsky? You get nothing and like it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Jonathan Kuminga in a little bit coming up on the show, because there is a new report that came out involving that Oklahoma City game a couple weeks ago. I think it was almost implied with the way Steve Kerr answered the question about the injury, but now we have clarification. And then I also want to get into Moody and Podziemski a little bit more. The Saber metrics coming up on Locked On Dubs.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage, we got tuition, we got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/lockdownNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/lockdownNBA. That's ethos.com/lockdownNBA. Ethos.com/lockdownNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
I think the mute monster got you, buddy.
The mute monster did get me. Every once in a while, it creeps out from under the bed and says, "You're not saying a damn word to this audience." Pods and Moody combined for 40 points in the game today. And when the Warriors were at their best last season, those two were at their best. Like Podziemski had a great stretch in February and March before the playoffs started where he was awesome. Moody had a good stretch during that same time, and it just started working. And from there, whether it was the playoffs last year, whether it was the start of this season, there's just been no consistency. There's never been a month where it's like, damn, Pods and Moody at the same time just had a month where they leaps and bounds just grew as players. And that's what this team needs, man. I mean, we'll talk about the Kuminga trade coming up. They need more regardless. I still don't think this is any sort of a championship team, but we always knew that internal growth was going to be the best way for this squad to have a serious shot at it. And look, these are young guys. I think Moody's 23, Pods is 22. That sounds about right. Plenty of time to grow. One can cross their fingers and pray. One can also expect that in the next 2 games, you'll see like 2 of 9 from one of the two. So that's reality. But the hope is that maybe, just maybe, they're turning a corner because Pods has played well lately.
Yeah. Listen, I think.
Dude, how about that stretch that he had today where he's hitting fadeaway baseline J's and
those
threes?
2 shots. Yeah, he hit 2 shots nice. In a row.
That's what he was doing last year when he was at his best.
Super tough shots. I don't honestly love him taking those shots. But look, Brandin Podziemski is shooting just under 46% from the field, just over 40 from three-point range on the season. His effective field goal percentage is a career high. His free throw percentage is a career high for what that's worth, and he's shooting more free throws than ever before, despite playing the exact same amount of minutes. His rebounds are a little down, which is a bummer, but for the most part, he is progressing. It's just, first of all, I think a lot of people always want young players to progress faster, particularly in a situation like this one where Steph Curry's waiting on him. But also with Podziemski in particular, and a little bit with Moody, the whole like expectation structure has gotten so whacked out with the Warriors. And in the case of Podziemski specifically, it's the Warriors' own fault, and Podziemski as well. It's all the people responsible are the principals in that case. He's talking about inheriting the franchise from Steph Curry. Save that for your mom, dude. The Steve Kerr's talking about he's going to shoot 10 threes a game. Save that for practice. We don't need to hear about that. God knows there's some stuff going on with Kuminga that you've managed to keep a secret over the last 5 years, but you can't keep your ambitions for a guy who's never scored more than 11.5 points a game to yourself. It's weird. And it's another example to me of a structure that struggles to manage young players. Like, we can critique the draft. It's easy to look at Jalen Johnson come to town and say, boy, it'd be nice if they picked him instead. But also there's a clear problem here with what they do with the people they get once they get them. Because I don't think anyone doubts, certainly in the case of Kuminga, but even with Podziemski and Moody, that these are legitimate NBA talents that can do things. And in a lot of ways, with all of them, the overall production has been marginally disappointing, to say the least. And I just can't help but identify the similarities between these three players have nothing to do with them as players and everything to do with how they've been treated since they arrived here. So, Moody has really struggled. So it's easier for me to understand the critiques of him over the last couple months because it's been an ugly couple months. But Podziemski, to me, is like a pretty normal young player going through pretty normal growth when, like, you're not one of the top 5 focuses of the team. You know what I mean? Like, making Brandin Podziemski better is not one of the top 5 things Steve Kerr is interested in. And I think that always makes it a little tough on a young player. Because even Pods, like, all the fans feel like he's getting the sweetheart treatment from Kerr, and that may be true relative to Moody and Kuminga, but he's still being asked to do very specific things and, not necessarily always given the freedom to play to his strengths. So it's it's tricky, but I do think these guys are still good NBA players for the next decade. The question is, are they good enough to help you the way you want them to right now? And they just might not be. And I don't know what you can do about it at this point, other than trade them if that's what you want to do.
All right. Per Slater, Steph Curry was in pain. He was limping in the tunnels post-game, played through the injury, but did tell him that it was a quad contusion.
Yeah, I saw that.
We've been dealing with quad contusions with Steph Curry. It was a hamstring last year that got him in the postseason, but quad contusion earlier in the year. So front and back. Man.
But hamstring pull, the hamstring was a strain. A contusion is different. It should be fine. We're not, that means someone hit him, right? We're not, but it is the second one this year.
And you got Charlotte up next, right? That's a good time to get a quad contusion if you're ever going to get one.
Yeah.
They're not terrible. I mean, Brandon Miller's tough. Knipple's tough. LaMelo Ball is LaMelo Ball, but
right. I mean, the real problem is that, like, they're short scorers. They're already short scorers. And even on a night like tonight, where it was a pretty comfortable win, they did need Steph Curry to do Steph Curry things, So we'll see. But I wouldn't expect him to miss much time with a quad contusion.
This is just the thing that I've been saying for years, because everyone always says trade pods, trade them straight up for whoever and whatever. He is one of the most productive. I think it's more than 3 at this point. Comment on the screen says 3. I think it's up to 4 million with his pay increase, which it is like peanuts in the NBA, but in real life, it's like the guy's making $4 million. Christ. But I mean, he does a lot of really good things for what is essentially a vet minimum contract. The Warriors have 3 dudes that are making very minimal money, that are extremely productive. And Horford, add in post. They got a lot of dudes that, they don't have the 13, 15, 18 million dollar guys that a lot of other rosters do. And that's
what's good and bad.
Yeah.
That guy is Kuminga to an extent, and Healed to a lesser extent. And neither of them are really playing. Well, that's the thing. Neither of those guys are really playing right now. So it may be that you end up having to attach the value of Pods, because undoubtedly his value is exceptional at that contract. And even the value of Moody, who is affordable and reasonable from a contract perspective, in order to trade a guy like Kuminga or Healed. It may come down to that. I don't know what the market is exactly. But like you said, because you have all these dudes like Post and Horford and Melton are both on minimums right now, and like, if the goal is to be as good as possible when Steph Curry is here, it may be that you need to sacrifice the value of a Brandin Podziemski, even a Will Richard, in order to add the type of player you want to add right now. And it'll be Kuminga and or Heald that are the contracts to make it work, and those other guys that are the value plus draft picks probably.
Kolsky, I don't know if that player is truly available. Like,
well,
I mean,
you never know.
You could call up Chicago and get your guy Vooch, but no one wants that to happen. There aren't going to be that many players, I don't think, that the Warriors will be looking at on the move. Like Trey Murphy would have been perfect. He's starting to put up 40-point games consistently. Like he's really turning into a dude in front of our eyes. He's not going anywhere. Anthony Davis, a target that they had, he's clearly not going anywhere except for, surgery.
Yeah.
And then aside from that, Michael Porter Jr., per reports, now granted a year ago at this time, reports were that the Warriors had no interest in Jimmy Butler. We know how that ended. So take it with a grain of sea salt. But reports are that Michael Porter Jr. isn't in the fold. So go through the rosters in the NBA of teams that may want to shake up. Maybe the Lakers. I mean, is there a way that, with Rich Paul calling, Austin Reeves a bum or whatever, is there a way that you get into that sweepstakes? Like, no, I don't think so.
I don't think the Lakers are that dumb. I think they trade LeBron before they traded Austin Reeves.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, and that's why offseason may be the move, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. I can't buy that. I just can't buy that, and I just think this is smokescreen season. It's the sort of stuff
this isn't a garage sale, Kolsky.
I don't even want Michael Porter Jr. I might keep Jonathan Kuminga. It's just the sort of stuff people say to muddy up the market and not.
No, I agree with that. I'm just like literally looking team to team, and it's like, who is going to be available? And it'll probably be a wild card that we haven't even talked about.
That's the thing.
But who's looking to shake things up?
First of all, anyone who stinks should have some level of interest in Jonathan Kuminga. Why not? Talented young player. We know he can score. He's exciting to watch. Let's throw him on the court for the second half of the season.
You know who had interest in him? A team that stunk? The Phoenix Suns, who are actually 8 games above 500. And guess who they offered in the offseason? Grayson Allen, who I know, cover your eyes and plug your nose, is having a great year. He's been good.
You'll never win anything with Grayson Allen.
You got to hate that team. Dylan Brooks and Grayson Allen, that's like Mount Rushmore of punchable faces for you.
Yeah, but even like Dylan Brooks is a chump and a loser, but Grayson Allen literally shouldn't be in the league. Like, I just hate talking about him, and I'm so glad he's not on the Warriors. Whatever. The guy tries to hurt people. Anyway, I don't know that Grayson Allen makes you that much better anyway, even like the player, ignoring the fact that he could get suspended for trying to trip somebody any day. He's a 3-point shooter. I'm not sure that's the trade I'd want. I think, is he better than Malik Monk? Maybe a little bit, not much. Every single year, someone you don't expect to get traded gets traded, right? Every single year. Like you said, this time last year, the Warriors had no interest in Jimmy Butler. They were not going to get into that mess. No siree. Giannis right now is making a whole scene of never requesting a trade, right? But maybe the Bucks lose 6 in a row, and all of a sudden he's on the market. Maybe some other star or high-level player in a place that's going nowhere gets sick of things and says, hey, get me out of here. There's any number of scenarios that can lead to someone ending up on the market.
I have a name for you.
Yeah.
You're going to have to wait until after the break. But I have a name for you all. That's a tease. This is Locked on Dubs.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by our proud sponsor, Wayfair. The new year's here. It's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love the way that it looks and the way it feels. That's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. From bedding and mattresses to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. They got everything you need for a home full refresh, all in one place. Whether you're updating the living room, organizing your space, or upgrading your work from home setup, check out Wayfair. From bedding to sofas, kitchen tables, Wayfair's got it. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Let's get back to the show.
And buddy, stop trying to dribble the ball.
All right, I teased it. The Charlotte Hornets aren't very good. They're getting better, but they're not very good. LaMelo Ball is not the name I'm bringing up.
Okay.
That was just like to kind of, build the suspense into a crescendo. Brandon Miller, I'd love him. It's not going to happen. Con Knipple, not going to happen. You know who's having a really good year? I saw him live a couple weeks ago. You're shaking your head already. Miles Bridges is having a very good year. Can shoot it, can play make, can attack, can get some boards. He's a bigger body. I want to say he's like 6'6", 6'7". I think he's a Michigan State guy. So he's got that Draymond connection. Obviously, he's had issues in the past, personal issues, whatever, but that hasn't stopped him from having a pretty good season with Charlotte. Don't know the amount of money. You can look that up, but just a name that I'll bring up because it's a name that really no one's brought up. And I know Milwaukee is kind of rumored to potentially bring him in with Giannis, but Milwaukee's toast, man. They stink. What about the name Miles Bridges?
He can play. That's a complicated one for reasons you sort of hinted at there. The money's about right. There is a little bit of duplication there for the Hornet. Like, it wouldn't be totally insane for the Hornets to say, you know what, let's give a younger, more of a 4 a try rather than Miles Bridges because, Brandon Miller's doing a lot of our wing ball handling and scoring. I'm still not sure. I would not want to attach a first-round pick to that's tough.
From Berserk Monk, Chuck needs to go and watch Miles Bridges' defensive film. He makes JK look like Amin Thompson. Here's the deal, man. If you have him on the floor at the same time as Butler, Draymond, and Horford, you have plenty of defensive help there. You can hide him a little bit. He can score. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, he can score in a variety of ways. He's a vertical player. He can leap out of the gym. He's exciting. I mean, look, the player is good. He is yet another guy in that category with Malik Monk and, to an extent, Michael Porter Jr.
Oh, stop it. Malik Monk's not in the same sentence as either of those two.
Yeah, but listen, I'm not comparing their games. I'm comparing I am worried about whether the coach would like those guys. And that doesn't mean, like, if you traded for Miles Bridges, I think he would play, but is he going to close? I don't know. It's an interesting name. It's a really interesting name, Chuck. And I'll say again what I've said a lot of times now, which is at this point, anybody you get is an upgrade over 0 minutes of Jonathan Kuminga. 0 minutes of Jonathan Kuminga is not providing anything to the Golden State Warriors. So everything's an upgrade. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons I would be worried about Miles Bridges.
One of the names coming in with the chat, Benedict Mathurin, being shopped around. That to me is just like, dude, if Kuminga,
he's one too, yeah.
If Kuminga wasn't necessarily a fit, like,
but again, that's Michael Porter Jr. Like, those are guys.
No, don't come on, don't compare Kuminga to Michael Porter Jr., man.
No. But again, it's not their games. It's the fact that if the thing that Steve Kerr doesn't like is
Dude, Steve,
not
we know what Steve Kerr doesn't like. He likes he doesn't like the fact, now we know based on this report, that he asked Kuminga to play in a game and Kuminga reportedly faked an injury. I mean, if that's real, that's what he doesn't like. He doesn't like the attitude. It has nothing to do with the dude's skill.
That's reportedly something that happened a month ago
Against the Thunder.
Less than a month ago?
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So, Chuck, what explains the previous 4.5 years? He hasn't liked the guy for a long time. So that's not the reason. And if we're going to say it is basketball, the basketball reasons are he doesn't pay attention on defense the way Steve Kerr wants him to. And he occasionally looks off Steph Curry and takes a bad mid-range jumper. Those are also things that Michael Porter Jr. and Benedict Mathurin will do. Mathurin competes better on defense, I think, than any of the other guys we're talking about, but he's also not the most high IQ, court-aware guy in the world. He is an absolute murderer on offense who wants to tear out the hearts of the opponents by attacking at all times, which is a great value, but also something that Steve Kerr doesn't love. So I like the idea of Benedict Mathurin. I think he'd be a very interesting fit, and I think you'd be happy bringing him off the bench as your sixth man. Let's go get some points in this son of a gun. But I kind of think at this point, you can't afford to go get a guy that Steve Kerr might decide is not a good fit for what he wants to do. So, I that's why I would be more comfortable with someone like Jeremy Grant, even though personally I prefer Benedict Mathurin as a player. Jeremy Grant is a pro's pro who's a capable scorer, a capable defender, and gonna do what Steve Kerr says and be in the right places. And I almost think for this team, I'm not underrating Michael Porter Jr. He's an elite scorer, but his skill is scoring, and sometimes he does it selfishly and inefficiently. That's the point. It's not about how good he is.
You saw today, man, the ability of Jimmy in the second unit when Steph goes out to kind of take over, put the team on his back. And he can't do that against every team, right? But when New York had the bench unit in, he had the favorable matchups to where he could just get downhill at all times.
He could do it against a lot of teams, but
yeah, he was
easy against the Knicks.
getting baseline with some loop around passes to the wing where Moody was knocking him down in the corner or whatever. But I mean, hear me out. What if MPJ was your main second unit scorer, where
he'd be an elite scorer? Again, I like it. I like the idea. I do. I just wonder if. Well, first of all, again, it's smokescreen season, so they may be saying they have no interest because he's their number one target, right? Well, for all I know, that's what's happening. But yeah, I'm just saying I'd be worried about the fit because of everything that's happened. I wonder whether fit is more important than talent at this point.
I think he'd fit honestly pretty well, especially in that second unit where, you kind of staggered his minutes with Curry.
He would be the second best scorer on the team, not the
for
third.
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, Jimmy gets it done a different way. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Jimmy went for 32 tonight. He can still give you 40 on his best days, but MPJ is one of those guys where, I mean, it's kind of sacrilegious to compare his game to Kevin Durant, but he has that ability. He has that size, and he has that ability to just knock down tough middies and deep threes, and
he can't really handle
hit from anywhere on the floor, man.
Right.
What's up?
He cannot handle like Durant, and he certainly doesn't defend like Durant. But
no, he's not Kevin Durant.
Shooting
he's not
the
as
ball,
smart as Durant, but he can shoot.
He can absolutely light. I'd like that dude will have. I don't know if he's had a 50-point game, but he probably will if he hasn't. He is an absolutely elite scorer, no question about it.
All right. Anything else you want to get into on the Jonathan Kuminga situation? The latest reports are that he has demanded a trade, requested a trade, whatever words you want to use. We all knew that. Will they actually trade him? Who knows? How long is it going to take? Who knows? What's it going to be for? This whole thing's confusing, man. And just when you thought like Moses Moody and Brandin Podziemski just weren't good enough, they combined for 40 points tonight. And Pods has been playing well, man, in his new role where they're not asking nearly as much of him. We brought up Miles Bridges on today's show. He's a name that really no one's talked about. Anything else you want to divulge in before we call it a night and bid the audience adieu and hopefully Mute Monster gets no one tonight?
Yeah, just all I would say is that don't believe the things you're hearing from now until the trade deadline. It's all insane. I mean, if Shams reports something, it's true. But like the rumors, don't get too invested in it.
You saying don't believe Seagull bombs?
No comment. I am as strongly convicted as I can be that Jonathan Kuminga will not be on this team in 2.5 weeks, period. It just is. It is too insane and stupid a thing to happen. I cannot believe it will happen.
From you for the record, just so we have it. Maybe we hang it up in the Smithsonian someday, or maybe we, burn the thing. What type of career do you think he's going to have, regardless of where he goes? Like, what type of career? You think Jonathan Kuminga has a long NBA career? You think the best days are behind him? Like, he's still so young. It's weird, man. He's had some good games.
I do not think the best days are behind him. But I do think, like, because of everything here, and listen, he certainly bears some responsibility.
He's still so young.
But because of everything here, I think his road to a really good NBA career is much harder than it would have been if he had been drafted somewhere else. I still believe the guy has the potential to be an all-star level player at some point. Now, whether we see that is going to depend a lot on where he goes and also on, maybe I'm just wrong. But I don't doubt that there will be a stretch where he is scoring a ton of points in a very exciting way, and Warrior fans are looking at it like, why didn't we at least try?
I'm just laughing because I have like a national treasure. I told you I have the RPA, the rookie patch autograph, not the RPO, the RPA, the rookie patch autograph relic to like number 5. Like, if Jonathan Kuminga is a Hall of Famer, like I'm a millionaire, for God's sakes. But it's pretty cheap right now, man. So as soon as he busts off like back-to-back 30-point games in Utah or whatever, that thing is sold on eBay. But
yeah, I mean, it's whatever ends up happening with the trade and with his career. I think what has become incredibly clear is that the Warriors have mishandled this thing for a long time in a way that has damaged everybody involved, which is a bummer.
Yeah, it's been weird, man. I'm really interested to hear the reports when everything's done and when they can kind of, I guess, peel back the curtain a little bit and tell us a little bit more, because I feel like we've all kind of speculated, but there truly is no reason to. I mean, even like a blowout, you're not going to give the guy run. You'll put Pat Spencer, Guy Santos, you'll put, Kevin Knox or Jackson Rowan last year during the playoffs during a game where it was a blowout and his ass just sits glued to the bench. Like, Kerr could say all he wants that him and Kuminga have a great relationship. I don't think they're baking any pies together.
There's no, I mean, maybe we'll eventually find out what's been going on really here, but we certainly don't know right now. Although I do believe the report
today with one.
Well, but again, that's a couple weeks ago. That's the end of the relationship. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the same article where, anonymous players were saying they did believe he was faking an injury, another anonymous player said, hell, I wouldn't have played after the way they've treated him. Someone on the Warriors said that to a reporter about Jonathan Kuminga. Like,
dude, did you see the report today that apparently the staff is pissed at one of the Warriors players because they've been taking too much to-go food? They've just been coming in and grabbing like 17 boxes of food to go. I don't know if it was a real report, but I'm thinking like, what if that was Kuminga? Like, oh, you're not going to play me? I'm taking all the Alfredo. 17 boxes for me and the boys.
I mean, listen, like, woof. It's just tough.
Who knows? I mean,
It's tough,
truly,
and-
who knows?
Yeah,
you don't want to side with anyone in this situation.
I have
but,
to say, I
no
don't
one's won.
agree. I don't.
No one's
yes,
won.
that's the point. I don't necessarily agree with the player who says, hell, I might have faked an injury too. Because ultimately that's not the right thing to do, and I can't defend that really. But I do understand if Jonathan Kuminga is incredibly frustrated at this stage. I do understand that. Because the one thing we do know is that promises have been made to him repeatedly and broken repeatedly about a consistent role on this team. So it's just a bad situation, and the sooner it ends and we can stop talking about it, the better.
Amen, man. It's been exhausting, and I think we can all agree the Kuminga saga sucks. This is Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Peace.